This is NTV.
Community.
Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you. You may be seated. We may be seated. It's such a joyous occasion to be in this place. For anyone who doesn't know this place, this is City Square Post Office. And we are glad that out of so many venues, we are able to hold our AGM, the Retirement Benefit Scheme, Pension Scheme, AGM in this place. Asante. It's good that welcoming you to City Square Post Office, and I thank God because it has been chosen to hold this noble occasion, AGM. I think we are blessed. Anybody who wants to come and doesn't know the direction, let me give you the direction. The direction is, you can't get lost. We are next to Central Bank of Kenya. Next to Times Towers. Those are heavy names. Central Bank of Kenya, Times Towers. Ukienda karibu sana, kuna Jogoo House. Ukifika Jogoo House, hautakosa. Karibu kidogo kuna Office of the President. That is where we are located. When you come there, you shall never get lost. Thank you again, and we will continue to request you, anybody who is signing in, sign in and sit down and let us start the program. I will request my brother, Mr. Sawe, to continue. My name is Sylvester Nyaseme. I am a member of the pension scheme, and I'm also a member of City Square Post Office, where God comes and resides. Kuna mahali penye Mungu anapita, anatembea, lakini when he comes to City Square, he comes and resides. That is City Square for you. Mr. Sawe, please.
Asante sana. Karibuni tena. We shall go straight away to welcome our brother Koskei, who is going to give us the readings of the notices of the AGM and introduce. So, Mr. Koskei, please welcome, so that you can do the noble duty. Karibu sana.
Thank you, MC. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of us to our AGM today. We have two AGMs today. That is for Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Pension Scheme, which we popularly call it the old scheme. And we have Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme, which is the new scheme. So we are going to have those two annual general meetings today. We are going to begin with the Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Pension Scheme, that is the old scheme. And as we start, then I would want to read the notice of the meeting, for this particular AGM, the 20th annual general meeting. We hereby read the notice of the 20th annual general meeting of Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Pension Scheme, which is being held today. And I believe each and every one of us has received the agenda. The agenda of the meeting is basically, we are going to go through the financial statements for the last year. We are also going to hear the chairman's report. The chair is going to give us a report on the scheme performance, as well as the activities that have been undertaken by the scheme in the last 1 year. So I want to welcome each and every one of us to today's annual general meeting. And to introduce our trustees, we have our trustees seated here on the podium. From my immediate left, we have Trustee Simon Gashara. Next is Trustee Alista. Next is Trustee Philemon Munai. These are trustees for the new scheme, Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme. And on my immediate right, we have Zuleika Mohammed. Zuleika Mohammed is the chair of the Board of Trustees of Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Pension Scheme, the old scheme. Next is Trustee Joseph Tele. Joseph Tele is also a trustee of Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Pension Scheme. And lastly, but not least, we have Trustee Moses Mwai. Moses Mwai is also a trustee of Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Pension Scheme. We still have other trustees who are still coming, but this is a representation of the Board of Trustees of the two schemes. So we want to invite you to our meeting today. Let's engage. Let us get to understand our schemes, how they were established, and the benefits that we derive from being members of these schemes. Thank you very much, MC.
Thank you very much, Mr. Koskei, for the welcome and introduction of our trustees. Can we give a clap, please? Can we give a clap as an appreciation? Please. Na tusikuwa wachoyo, tusikuwa wachoyo. Ikifika ni wakati wa makofi, piga makofi mpaka jirani yako anajua kwamba yes, umepiga. Tupige tena tafadhali. Ah, wonderful. That is great. Now, according to our minutes, we are supposed to confirm the minutes of the 19th AGM. And still, we'll request our brother to do the same. Brother Goske, again, we shall request you again to confirm the minutes of the 19th AGM. The last AGM before today's 20th AGM, for the 19th one that was done in New Karibu Sana.
Thank you so much. I think even before I do the minutes, also I want to recognize the presence of our service providers. Each scheme is required to have service providers who provide specialized services to the schemes. We have somebody called a custodian. You will be able to hear what their role is. We have fund managers, we have actuaries, and property managers. I don't know whether they are here. So those are service providers who provide specialized services to the schemes in accordance with the law. I also want to recognize the presence of the Secretary General of Communication Workers Union, Mr. Benson Okwaro, who is also here. So, yes, as we go then to the minutes, I believe each and every one of us has received a copy of the minutes. We will go through the minutes of the 19th Annual General Meeting that was held on the 30th of June, 2022. You might be wondering, this year we have had 2 AGMs, but this was for the previous financial year that ended 30th June, 2021. So these are the minutes of the last meeting, and on page 1 you can see those who are present. We had 6 trustees, Mrs. Zuleika Mohammed, the chair of the board, and the other trustees listed there, I believe you can see. We also had in attendance the following. We had also the honor of the occasion being graced by also Mr. Benson Okwaro, the Communication Workers Union, Benson Mwangangi, and the rest, and the other service providers listed there, so you will see them. We also had members who attended the last AGM physically, though we also had members attending virtually through Zoom link, as well as YouTube, as well as other social media platforms. On page 2, we'll take you to page 2. Page 2, we had the notice of the annual general meeting, and basically we took members through the contents or the agenda of the annual general meeting, and more or less it's this kind of the same flow as today. And then we have the actual minute items. Minute 1, confirmation of minutes of the AGM held in 2020. We also held our AGM and we were able to confirm the minutes of that particular meeting. We also received a presentation of the financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2021. I will not read word for word, but I will take you through up to the last part where it shows net assets available for benefits. At the end of the year, we had assets worth 5.8 billion shillings in this scheme. So those were the net assets available for benefits. If you compare that with the previous year was 5.673 billion. On statement of changes in net assets available for benefits, again, you will see that on page 3. And then on page 4, we have the statement of cash flows. There, you can go through it up to page 5, where we had net assets, cash and cash equivalents at the end of the year of 246,104,496 compared to 210,821 in the previous year. The auditor was then invited to give his an opinion, and he gave his opinion in which there was an emphasis of matter in which the issue on excess property was highlighted because it is not compliant with the law. We were at 56.6%. On report of service providers, as I mentioned, we have our service providers here. They also took us through the reports, where we had the first report by Zamara, who is a financial advisor, and actually is actually a financial advisor who advises schemes on matters to do with finance and issues to do with longevity risk and how to manage your benefits. So they presented their report, where we had also an actuarial valuation report presented, which indicated that the scheme fund value stood at 112%, meaning that the scheme assets were more than the liabilities by about 12%. Page 6. Again, we have reports of the custodian report. I mentioned that we have a custodian who takes care of the funds. We have fund managers also who presented their reports, and they highlighted the issues or the challenges that the schemes in general are facing in the economic environment. We also had a report by RBA, a presentation by RBA, in which, again, they highlighted that the property portfolio was not compliant. We were above the limit by about 26%. Instead of 30, we were at 56%. And the chair is going to make remarks on what is being done by the scheme to ensure that that is complied with. On the other issues that were raised by RBA in terms of documentation, they indicated that the trust deed and rules, which are the rules that govern the operations of the scheme, were filed with the Retirement Benefits Authority. Investment policy statement also filed with the Retirement Benefits Authority. Service provider agreements were also in place, and reporting was also up to date. Payment of levy paid in accordance with the law. And then we received questions and answers from members, which we'll invite you to go through, read. Maybe a question that was asked by someone could actually be able to answer a question that you may have. And then after that, that was the end of the minutes. Yeah, but you go through the questions. So we want to confirm the minutes of the last meeting that was held on the 30th June 2022. That is the 19th Annual General Meeting of Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Pension Scheme. Can we get a proposer and a seconder? We confirm the minutes, then we move on to the next agenda. If you are present and you agree that the content of what I have read is what was presented, then let's confirm the minutes. Yeah, Chelimo, thank you. Thank you for confirming the minutes. Who is seconding that? Yes, yes, your name? Dorothy, thank you. Thank you for seconding the minutes. Thank you, asante sana.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Kosgei. Thank you for confirming us that the thing that we do, the AGM we did last time was successful. It was not hot air or opaque. Thank you. I have not said anything. We continue swiftly, and we want to thank you for coming. I'll continue telling that anytime you come in and sign and receive the books, please come inside. Usirudi tena nje. Make way here. We are welcoming you with a warm heart in this place. This is City Square Post Office, and we are off in this flight called Pension AGM. Tayari tuko juu na tunaendelea. I will continue to welcome Madam Zuleka to give us the chairman's report. The chairman's report. Madam Zuleka.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It is with great pleasure that I welcome all members and all stakeholders to our 20th annual general meeting. I am delighted to present the pension scheme report for the year ended 30th June 2022. The year ended was characterized by challenging investment environment arising from volatility in the equities market, inflation, and reduced government expenditure. However, in spite of the challenges, the growth momentum and returns witnessed in the previous financial year continued to the year under review, albeit at a lower rate. As you are aware, the objective of the scheme is to provide cash pension benefits to members on retirement or relief to families in the unfortunate demise of a member. We wish to notify our members that this objective was achieved and payments totaling over Kenya shillings 460 million was made in respect to pensioners and other members who retired during the year. On the activities undertaken during this year, I want to inform you that in an effort to improve the operation of the scheme, we have continued to modernize its services through implementation of systems such as the ERP, as well as digitalization through an electronic document management system, which has greatly improved efficiency and turnaround time in responding to members' queries. Further, the scheme will this year be commissioning a web application to enable members monitor and project their benefits at the comfort of their phones. The scheme, in compliance with the Data Protection Act, has started the process of compliance through sensitization of trustees and staff on the Act and is now registered as a data controller. The process of amending the leavers forms to comply with the Act are ongoing in consultation with the sponsor, that is the Postal Corporation of Kenya, and it is our hope that the process gets automated to avoid manual filling and forwarding of the forms by the sponsor. On the scheme performance, at the end of 30th June, the value of the scheme's investment portfolio decreased from Kenya shillings 5 billion 811 million 151,471 shillings to in 2021 to Kenya shillings 5 billion 377 million 762,576 shillings as of 30th June 2022. This decrease is attributed to change in fair value of financial assets, which declined by Kenya shillings 186,374,088 shillings during the year, and payment of retirement benefits of Kenya shillings 461 plus million. The scheme's assets currently, as at 30th June 2021, were as follows. Offshore investments were at 0.42%, cash balances at 0.85%, fixed and cash deposits at 1.45%, local and regional equities at 7.18%, Kenya government securities at 30.06%, and investment property at 59.91%. Now, as you can see, the retirement authority regulations require investment in property not to exceed 30% of the total fund value of the scheme. Now, as at 30th June, as I've read, the property portfolio stood at 59.9% of the fund value, and therefore the scheme was not compliant in this investment portfolio. In this regard, the scheme will be disposing of some of the properties and investing the proceeds in financial assets that yield higher returns. The process has already begun, with the scheme seeking authority to dispose of the properties from the National Treasury in accordance with the Public Procurement and Disposal Act. As you are aware, all entities sometimes have challenges, and in our case, the challenges which we faced are almost perennial, and we have been mentioning these throughout in our AGMs. Okay? One of the perennial challenges are the court cases, which have bogged us down, especially for the residential properties by tenants. We also have low rental income from the residential properties. Again, we have non-payment of rent from the sponsor on the spaces occupied at GPO Mombasa and Ronangala. We have already engaged the sponsor, and they have started paying the current rates, and we are in the process of coming up with a payment plan on the arrears. Okay? Going forward, the scheme will continue to pursue our plans on the disposal of the properties and investment of the proceeds, and invest proceeds on high-yielding financial instruments. We also want to review rents to market rates, and again, the process has already started, but we are not yet there. Further, we also want to improve our processes to attain efficiency in the management of the scheme. This is a continuous process, and again, we are saying that we shall continue with it. Okay? So in the end, I would like to appreciate the trustees who have served with me during the year for their support and dedication, and wish to appreciate the following for their dedicated support to the scheme. First of all, I wish to thank the sponsor and all members of the scheme custodian, Stanbic, the fund managers, Sanlam and All Mutual Investment Group, the scheme property managers, the scheme auditor, Mazars Certified Public Accounts, and the scheme actuaries, MS Zamara Actuaries Limited. And finally, the scheme staff headed by our able CEO, who doubles up as the trust secretary, Mr. Elijah Koskei, who is sitting right next to me. Thank you very much. I want to take this opportunity to wish you all a Merry Christmas, happy festivities, and a prosperous 2023. Thank you very much.
A hand of applause, please. Huyo ni mama wa nguvu, and you find kwa trustees she's the only lady. So please tunataka tutengeneze mkono sasa vizuri tafadhali. The only lady in the team na anatuchungia pesa yetu. Tafadhali makofi pamoja. Very strong lady. But without wasting time, we shall call upon our auditor, who is going to take us through the presentation of the audit report of an audited financial statement on the year ending 30th of June 2022. So we are calling upon our brother to take us through. Kimathi, please, karibu.
The chairman, board of trustees, the trustees of the owned scheme, invited guests, service providers, members, good morning. It's my moment to present the audited financial statements of the owned scheme for the financial year ending June 2022. It's a 38-page document. I will not read through every page. I only highlight the major areas, starting with the scheme information. The following are the service providers who assist trustees to run the scheme. The first is the custodian, who is Stanbic Bank of Kenya. The investment managers, the first one is Sanram Investment East Africa Limited, and the second one is Owned Mutual Investment Group. The actuaries of the owned scheme are called Zamara, Actuaries, Administrators, and Consultants Limited. The independent auditor of the owned scheme is called Mazars, Certified Public Accountants. In terms of corporate governance, I wish to confirm the following. The trusteeship comprises of 6 trustees who are in office for that particular year. And the 6 trustees, in terms of board meetings, they held 6 board meetings throughout the year. In terms of joint meetings, 2 were held in that particular year to transact the various businesses of the scheme. In terms of the composition of the board of trustees, in terms of gender mix, 83% are male and 17% female. Skills mix, none of the trustees earned financial skills. But in terms of age, all the trustees were aged above that 5 years of age. There are 3 committees of the board of trustees, and during that particular year, the Finance and Investment Committee held 6 meetings to transact the various businesses. The Audit and Risk Committee held 3 meetings, and finally, the Administration and Communications Committee held 3 meetings in that particular year. In terms of corporate responsibility of the owned scheme, I wish to confirm that the scheme participated in socially responsible investment and operations and has not been involved in any activity that may undermine the well-being of the sponsor, members, or the community at large. Finally, I wish to confirm that during that particular year, trustees were paid a gross sum of 2,244,290, being payments in terms of trustees sitting allowances, and this one was paid within the trustee remuneration policy put in place. In terms of the report of the trustees, I wish to confirm that as at 30th of June 2022, the membership of the owned scheme stood at 3,515. Out of that, members who are in service were 1,227, defined members 242, pensioners who are in the payroll receiving monthly pension every month were 1,934. And finally, dormant members were 112. Next, in terms of the trustees' responsibilities report, I wish to confirm the following, that the trustees during that particular year, they were able to keep the proper books of accounts, including the ERP, which was mentioned by the chairman, which enabled them to record all the financial transactions and activities of the scheme. They were also able to maintain adequate internal controls, which enabled all the transactions to be correctly recorded. And finally, we are confirming that the trustees were able to safeguard all the assets of the scheme in that particular year. Also, trustees are confirming to the members that during that particular year, the financial statements which we are reading right now reflects the true and fair position of all the transactions, of all the activities for that particular year. And they're also confirming that these financial statements were prepared in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards and the Retirement Benefits Act. Finally, trustees are confirming that this scheme will continue to exist in the foreseeable future for the purposes of investing the members' assets so that they can be able to grow, so that when members retire, there will be enough assets to pay them competitive benefits. Let's go straight to the income statement, which confirms the following. During that particular year, the scheme made a negative growth of 433,388,895. And out of that, the scheme was able to pay benefits amounting to 461,298,435, which was a higher amount compared with the year ending June 2021, where an amount of 408,000 was paid. During that particular year, the total assets which were held by the trustees generated investment income amounting to 334 million. Straight to the balance sheet, which confirms the following, that the total assets held by the trustees on behalf of the members for the purposes of paying the benefits, their market value as at the 30th of June 2022 amounted to 5,377,762,576. Out of that amount, the market value of the investment properties amounted to 3,222 million. And this forms around 60% of the total scheme's assets. This is the amount which chairman confirmed that the ceiling amount which should be owned by the scheme should be around 30%. So as chairman confirmed, enough remedial measures have been taken place to ensure that the scheme is compliant. In terms of the cash flow, the scheme was able to pay benefits for the members who retired from service to an amount of 461,456,218. In terms of admin expenses, a total sum of 24,561,740 was paid to the various service providers within that particular year. In terms of investing activities, the actual investment income received in terms of interest income, dividend income, rebates commission amounted to 308,150,000, 613 Kenyan shillings. At the end of the year, I wish to confirm that the scheme was very liquid enough to meet all its obligations, such that at the end of the year, the scheme balance in terms of the bank balances stood at 123,374,250 Kenyan shillings. I think I'll not go through the notes. Please, at your own time, go through the notes so that you can have an in-depth understanding of the various activities and financial transactions which took place in that particular year. I wish now to invite the scheme auditor to come and present his opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. I know now you've known how your money was being spent and where it went. So as you continue, these are accountants. And it is said some of them may not go to heaven, because they are unlike the Judas we knew. But we are in a new dispensation. Thank you. Auditor, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, MC. Thank you, members. Thank you, trustees. So I'll take you through the opinion of the auditor on the financial statements which you have been taken up through. And for purposes of this opinion, I'll try and read most of the part of it and explain some of the other parts which I may not go through. So, the opinion, and the opinion is on page 15, if you have the financial statements. Page 15. Not 15, but 11. Page 11. So, opinion. We have audited the accompanying financial statements of Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Pension Scheme, set out on pages 13 to 34, which comprise the statement of net assets available for benefits as at 30th June 2022, the statement of changes in net assets available for benefits, and the statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes including a summary of significant accounting policies. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the scheme as at 30th June 2022, and of the disposition at that date of its assets and liabilities in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards and the requirements of the retirement benefits, occupational retirement benefits schemes regulations of 2000. So that is to mean it was a clean opinion, meaning there was no issue that we found which was material, which would call us to qualify the financial statements. So the basis of the opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with the International Standards on Auditing, that is the ISAS. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the scheme in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, together with the ethical requirements that are relevant to our audit in the financial statements in Kenya. And we have fulfilled our ethical responsibilities in accordance with these requirements and the IESB code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis of our opinion. So there was an emphasis of matter which related to the investment property limits. So without qualifying our opinion, we draw attention to note 13 of these financial statements with respect of allocation of investments of the scheme where investment property is above the limit set out in the Retirement Benefits Act of 1997. So trustees' responsibilities. The trustees are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements that give a true and fair view in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards and the requirements of the Retirement Benefits, Occupational Retirement Benefits Schemes Regulations of 2000. And for such internal control as the trustees determine is necessary to ensure the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error. In preparation of these financial statements, the trustees are responsible for assessing the scheme's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to going concern and using the going concern basis of accounting, unless the trustees either intend to liquidate the scheme or to cease the operations, or have no realistic alternative but to do so. The auditor's responsibilities. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high-level assurance, but is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with the ISAs will always detect a material misstatements when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in aggregate they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of the users taken on the basis of these financial statements. The auditor's responsibilities still continued. As part of the audit, in accordance with the ISAs, we exercise professional judgments and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also, one, identify and assess the risks of material misstatements of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis of our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than for one resulting from an error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentations, or the override of internal controls. 2, obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the internal controls. 3, evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management. Conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis of accounting, and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the scheme's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention to, in our auditor's report, to the related disclosures in the financial statements. Or, if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of the auditor's report. However, future events or conditions may cause the scheme to cease to continue as a going concern. Then, evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statements, including the disclosures and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that achieves fair presentation. So, we communicate with those charged with governance, in this case, the management and the trustees, regarding, among others, the planned scope and timing of the audit and the significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we may identify during the audit. So these financial statements were signed by the engagement partner, who is Mr. Alphonse Karungu. So that is the opinion of the auditor for the financial statements of Postal Corporation of Kenya staff pension scheme for the period ended 30th June 2022. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let us give him a clap. Let us give him a clap. And I hope you've recognized something. That things monetary, things money, are always written in small fonts. I don't know why. Are always written in small fonts. Those who have taken loans, you are just told sign here, sign here, sign here, and you don't read there are some things that you have to read, and they don't give you time to read. So what I want us to learn from today, when there is somewhere you are supposed to append your signature, make sure you read. Take time, you read. Somebody told me that my people perish because they lack knowledge. Let us not be like that. And you've seen the two accountants, wamevaa nadhifu, they are calm. They are not like physics teachers or biological teachers. They are calm and very calm, cool, and collected. Triple C, calm, cool, and collected, because they know how to take care of your money. And I want to believe your money is being taken care of. Na haitapotea. What I want us to do is just to remind ourselves what our Postal Corporation Staff Pension Scheme is. And I want us to repeat after me the vision of our Postal Pension Scheme. The vision is to be a model pension scheme anchored on the values of efficiency and trust. Mark that word, trust. If you don't trust anybody, don't trust him with your money. If you don't trust anybody, don't trust him with your money. But I want to believe our trustees, those that we trust, we can trust them with our money. We can trust them with our mission. Improving quality of life in retirement by safeguarding and ensuring timely availability of retirement benefits. money account, are they able to account for our funds? If they are able to account for our funds, wakitaka to vote tena next time, let them not do any campaign. Let them just come and tell us we were accountable, and you can see. If they are not accountable, tafadhali, usisimame. Usisimame tena. Wewe ukishamaliza term yako, if you are not accountable with my money, then we jipatie kanyanga kidogo kidogo uende. As we continue, I want us to understand that we are here because of money, not any other thing. I can't save, and then at the end of my 30 years in service, I'll be doing nothing. There are some 5 quotes that I want us to share. Number 1, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. Umeipata? Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. I told you that here we are money matters. Money matters. We are here because of our financial capability in the future. Number 2, the price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it. I'm trying to do that because of tuchangamuke, because when next session, we want to listen to people who have issues of finance here. And we will be able to ask them questions. Why so many students in school wakisikia accounting inachukuliwa na watu wachache? Number 2, he who buys what he does not need steals from himself. He who buys what he does not need steals from himself. Hakuna haja uvae ununue viatu ya basketball na wewe ni mkimbiaji. Haitakusaidia. Utainunua uweke kwa drawer. He who buys what he does not need steals from himself. Never spend your money before you have it. Never spend your money before you have it. Somebody said, do not count your chicks before they hatch. Pengine zote ni mayai za grade na ni za kukula. Na wewe unahesabu nafikiri tatoka vifaranga. Haiwezekani. Never spend your money before you get it. Now, I want to ask ourselves and other selves. You call yourself trustees. And I have a quote that says, when you violate your trust, we don't get your favor. Are we able to trust you? In the land that we are living in, we have to trust. As much as I'm being told by my faith, he who trusts in man is accursed. But I want to believe with our money, we can trust you. I'm standing here, now I'm not standing as an employer of PCK. I'm standing here as an MC, because if I stand here as an employer of PCK, there's so many questions that I'm supposed to answer. Are we able to trust you, our trustees? Do you own that name, trustees? Do you own it? When you walk daily and go to your meetings, do you know that I am a trustee? I can do what my people who trust me are able to do. That is what you want to know from you today. Are we able to trust you? Ama nimesema uongo? As many as are of this opinion say aye. As many as are contrary to this opinion say nay. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. So I want to believe that we are trusting you with our cash. And this cash, we are going to get it after we are finished. I don't want us to see people anapanda matatu kutoka Bondo anakuja Nairobi. Miaka nenda, miaka rudi. Miaka nenda, miaka rudi. Ile pesa nyatatumia kwa fare, siku ile atarudishiwa haimsaidi. Ama nimesema uongo? Unajua kama nimesema uongo, wacha niweke hii mic chini, nipatie Mr. Sawe aendelee.
Asante sana. But that was an injection of one of us was giving us an encouragement or an insight. Now, I want us to welcome those who are taking care of our finances. They are called fund managers. So we have two teams. We have Sanlem and Old Mutual. So we shall call upon Christian Carrier to come over and present. Please, our hands together. Put our hands together for our brother to come. Just straight away. We are just on time. Karibu sana.
The chair, trustees, service providers, members, good morning. My name is Chris Carrier, as you've heard. I'm a senior investment manager with the Old Mutual Group. As you have been told, we have two fund managers for this scheme. This is the PCK Staff Pension Scheme, and I'll be carrying the report for today on behalf of the two managers. Okay? So, without further ado, there's a presentation of mine which I circulated, and I don't know whether it's going to be presented, but I think it's in circulation, isn't it, Trust Secretary? So, just allow me to read my report. So, I'll start with the role of the fund manager. What is it exactly that we do? We are hired by your trustees to offer advisory services in the sense that we undertake investment management of your scheme. And before we can do that, we have to be first regulated, and we are regulated both parties by the Retirement Benefits Authority as well as the Capital Markets Authority. Those are the bodies that oversight our activities. As you are aware, the pension industry has been fast growing over the last 10 years, currently almost touching 1.5 trillion, and hence the need for that kind of regulation to safeguard member benefits. So ideally, our role as fund managers to provide the advisory services for your trustees. We do carry out investment analysis of the various financial assets, and my report today basically will cover mostly of the financial assets because the property is actually managed by a property manager. So my report will center on the financial assets. Every day we carry out investment analysis. We try to see which ones will give us the best risk-reward trade-off. Basically, for the least amount of risk, where can we get the maximum amount of money? And we don't want to speculate with your funds. As you've heard from the chair lady as well, and as from the auditor, we were able to pay out about 461 million shillings in the year under review that ended on 30th June 2022. That was not a mean feat, given the challenges that have been highlighted there. Your scheme fell through within the financial year 2021. That's your first half between July to December of 2021. Then the second half starts from January to June 2022. A lot of challenges came in the second half of the year. And despite that, as you have seen, we were able to meet the obligations of your members as and when they wanted to leave the scheme or when they retired. And that is how we allocate those assets to the most liquid investments that will give us a continued source of income, and over the long term, some element of growth and appreciation. But that does not happen all the time. We're in financial markets, and sometimes there are distresses, as we saw in this financial year, especially on account of the geopolitical risks emanating from Eastern Europe, especially on the event of the Ukraine-Russia crisis. Those have actually filtered into our market because we are one unified investment environment. But that notwithstanding, the real cash element actually did generate some returns, and that was what was used to pay your members. So I will go to the next slide and talk about the investment environment. So the Kenyan gross domestic product, also called GDP, has actually recovered from the period of 2020, where we actually saw a decline of as much as 0.3% because of COVID and the containment measures that came about after that event. Going into 2021, the country grew by about 7.5%, a very steady growth. And for the year 2022, it's forecast to grow by about 5 to 5.3% by various bodies. In the year 2023, that's the following financial year for your scheme, that again is expected to go at about 5 to 5.1%. So one key item that has been a challenge, and I'm sure you as members, as also the trustees here, has been the issue of inflation, basically the cost of goods between two periods. And I'm sure members will appreciate, just following from what I've mentioned about the challenges of the Ukraine-Russia crisis, we have seen the price of oil increase, isn't it? You've seen the pump prices increasing, isn't it? Food prices have gone up, transportation costs have gone up. So globally, the world is battling high inflation rates, and central banks around the world have tried to contain that price pressure by raising interest rates, and that has now led to another challenge, a second round effect, where we have seen even markets like the US increase their interest rates, and that has further pushed the depreciation of the Kenya shilling, and that's making life much even more expensive, because whereas around 2020, the Kenya shilling was trading at about 100 shillings in January, we are right now trading at about 125, 122, depending on the estimates that are given out by the financial institutions. So that's also driving the cost of goods. I've talked about the level of inflation that I've talked about. It's currently at about 9.5% in the month of November, slightly down from 9.6% in the month of October. So it seems like the policy tools that the Central Bank of Kenya is utilizing are starting to bear fruit. We might have seen, most likely we're heading to the peak season of inflation before now things maybe stabilize, as we are seeing also in other economies. So you ever heard that your scheme also has offshore investments? On the offshore investments, those markets have also really been affected by the strong dollar, as well as investor flight to quality. Investors have been flying away from shares as well as bonds because of just the general rise in interest rates. We have also seen property prices, not just in Kenya, but also globally, also start getting affected, and other assets that were meant to be defensive also falling prey to it, including gold, that we actually saw stabilize a bit, but basically lower than it was in the preceding periods. I'll speak about the bond performance. That's our biggest allocation. As you will see from the report, we have a sizable amount invested in government bonds, and those are basically instruments issued by our Central Bank of Kenya. Those will come in the form of treasury bills and treasury bonds, of which make the bulk of our investment income that is used to pay your members. But for the year under review, we have seen some challenges coming down from the year 2021. Investment income, investments of the bond portfolios were actually performing about 9.8%. For the year 2022, that's between January all the way to October, it was slightly down at about 6%, but that's because of the rise in interest rates that has affected the prices of the existing bond portfolios. To speak a bit about the stock market has come down this year. A lot of investor flights, as I did mention. It's not just a Kenyan situation, it's globally. Shares have actually fared fairly badly off, as well as bonds, but we're proud at least our bonds are still in the positive territory for the year to date. However, we do see some challenges will continue to exist on the side of the stocks, given that the Kenya shilling level being that uncertain puts off investor appetite, especially foreign investors. It puts away the appetite to come back into the market. But nonetheless, the companies that we have invested in for your scheme are strong dividend-paying companies with solid management teams and actually anchor the dividend income portions for our portfolios. And we are still confident that they're going to deliver returns as and when markets still converge to what we call the true value of those investments. So now I'll speak a bit about how we have allocated our investments for your two fund managers for the financial assets, stripping out the aspect of property. So we did increase our cash allocations in the year from 2.2% the previous year to 2.4% of the total portfolio. We did decrease our equity allocations from 24% to 18%, just in line to cushion the scheme from the vagaries we are seeing in the stock market. And we did put now that extra money from that allocation into the government bonds. Our government bonds, we increased our portfolio from 65.5% the previous year to 71.3% in the year ended June 2022. As well as for the treasury bills, which are much shorter, we had about 5.2%, up from 1.6%. And for deposits, where we had as about 1.7 and 1% for offshore. Basically speaking to a very almost conservative scheme. And as you've heard from your members, they're seeking approval from your trustees, they're seeking approval from the National Treasury to liquidate the property. Remember, at the end of the day, this scheme will have to pay the last beneficiary, and you'll have to pay the last beneficiary in cash. Even the assets we are speaking to, at one point or the other, they'll have to be converted into cash to meet your obligations. So as the trustees try to liquidate the properties, we actually are looking forward to positive news from the National Treasury so that we can deploy those funds into assets that can really quickly realize into cash. Property takes a bit of time to liquidate. It might take 2 years, 3 years, and I'm privy to this scheme. I've been in this scheme for some time, and I know they've been trying to sell some of these properties, and they've taken a bit of time. So as members there, I want to encourage you to support your trustees as they try to realize these assets for your benefit, because you have to be paid in cash at the end of the day. To bring my report to a close, it was quite brief. I want just to say what's our expectation for the year coming ahead. And we do expect some challenges still to persist on the front of interest rates, especially coming to the first half of the year 2023. That's the period between January to June. We should see a bit of increase in interest rates by financial institutions, as well as also the government. But from there, we expect that to have peaked, and we shall see some normalization going forward. For the stock market, we did say the prices are quite attractive right now. The companies, though, are dependent on their sectors. Some will perform good. We have seen the banks being very resilient, almost increasing by 30% over their profits of the previous year before COVID, above 2019 figures, and those are quite positive returns. And we want to say, we want to observe that area very critically, as well as the offshore investments that actually also give us a hedge against the devaluing of the Kenya shilling. So mine, to bring the report to an end, is to say we have managed to scale a very challenging environment, and we will continue to adhere to the stringent rules and professionalism that is required to manage this scheme, so that each and every one of you, as and when you resign, we shall be able to liquidate and get you money to pay you as when and when you leave. And with that, trustees, chair, I bring my report to an end. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, Christian, for taking care of our funds. He has given us about the treasury bills, the treasury bonds, how our money is being invested. Please, tuweke makofi pamoja sasa tena mzuri kabisa kwa sababu wakufanya kazi mzuri. Our fund managers are doing a good job. Please, let's put our hands together for them, please. Asante sana. Without wasting time, let us call upon Stanbic Bank, who is our custodian, to give a report briefly too. Thank you. Welcome, my brother.
Good morning, trustees. Good morning, members.
Morning.
Now, my name is Nicholas Musyoki from Stanbic Bank, and the MC has done a very good job. He's touched a bit of my report when he was talking about our vision, mission, and the values. So, straight to the report. Stanbic Bank is the custodian of the staff pension scheme. We work closely with all the trustees and other service providers in the staff pension scheme. And just by introduction, is just to confirm to you that we are there because of the RBA Act. So the function of the RBA is to ensure that we protect your money. So I'm here to confirm to you whether what the auditor said, what Mr. Carrier said, what the trustees have confirmed, and what the MC is continuously talking about, and also the administrator, Mr. Kosgei here, is going to talk about. So I just want to confirm that we are regulated by the RBA. We are licensed by RBA. We are licensed by Central Bank of Kenya as a bank. So a custodian globally must be a bank. So we are the only players here who ensure that you get your money at the end of the day. So that is the message for today, that we work and the license of CBK, CMA, and RBA. The fund managers are licensed by the CMA because they are not a bank, and RBA because they look after pension funds. And then we have the administrator who works under the RBA license. I just want to confirm to you that we usually have meetings every 3 months with the trustees as per the RBA regulations. We also have an AGM, like now we have an AGM today. We are supposed to report to the members once a year, and I can confirm that we do that. You have a registration certificate called the PCK Staff Pension Scheme. I can confirm we have that document. So as a custodian, we must ensure that we work in a coordinated and we have all the documents as per the RBA Act. We also work closely as a custodian. Remember, we have financial instruments which we have to ensure that once the fund manager makes a decision on where to put the money, we are the ones who carry upon the investment decisions. So we work closely with CDSC and NSC. They are also regulators. So many regulators have I talked about for protection of your money. We have the CBK, Central Bank of Kenya. We have the Capital Markets Authority. We have the RBA. We have CDSC. We have NSC. How much is that protection? Your money is surrounded to ensure that it's protected. So once money comes out of your investments and from your contributions, from your maturities, from your sales, comes to Stanbic, and we ensure that we protect that. So the trustees are supposed to invest your money, they are supposed to keep your money, to do everything, but since they can't do all that, we have been appointed. So they have appointed a fund manager, they have appointed a custodian. So we carry out that duty of a custodian. So in Stanbic, we said the trustees have a problem of a custodian, so we gave the solution. So we in Stanbic, we look at what the client requires and we give solutions. Now, I want you to listen to this. Even if you don't go with anything, hii nataka uende nayo. Now, number one, I talked about RBA Act, okay? I want you to be careful about this discussion now. We have the RBA Act. We have a trust deed, a constitution, all right, for the scheme that reads into what we are supposed to do as a scheme, guided by the RBA Act, right? Now, we have players. We have a fund manager whose work is to make a decision on where to invest, to grow your money and make sure that you are paid at the end of the day, right? Now, we have a custodian in the same arrangement who makes sure we effect and we pay you on a monthly basis, right? As members of the scheme. And we have an administrator who makes sure that your records, your pay is done at the end of the month as a pension. We are together. So we have key players in this arrangement. Now, the custodian is the only person who adores your money, not even the trustee. Trustee will only know about the elements of what is happening in the scheme when we meet. So we give them reports which are reconciled. So that's how much protected your fund is. Can I repeat that? That your trustees do not even touch your money. They don't even have access to that money because the money is controlled by the custodian through instructions of the fund manager, the administrator. So if Nicholas in Stanbic has to move the monies, we must get instructions not straight from the trustees, but from a fund manager and an administrator so that we can effect the instruction. That is how protected your money is. That's number one. Number two, I said you wake up and listen. Eh? Number two, in Stanbic, we have segregated your money. So in the unlikely event, PCK closed shop today, will you be paid? That's the question. All right? In the unlikely event, Stanbic closed shop today, if a liquidator came from somewhere and said, Mr. Stanbic, we are closing in Kenya, will you still be paid in the unlikely event? All right? I'm just assuming. if somebody came and said, Mr. Fund Manager, Sanlam, Omig, Gloss Shop, we want to liquidate you, will you still be paid? So we have protected your money, and in an unlikely event, that happened. Anybody came and closed all those institutions which we are not related, your money will still be safe. That is the message for today. So we have segregated your funds from the sponsor, from the fund manager, from the bank custodian, and from any other player, including the auditors, etc., etc. Sawa? Haya. Now, today, I want to give you some information that the custodian role are 4 elements. One, when Chris makes a decision on where to place the money, we as custodians ask for that certificate. So we send out money and we get the certificate, all right? So we don't give out money for nothing. So you go to a supermarket, you buy sugar, you buy milk. As you go out, you meet a cashier, isn't it? And you pay. So that's the role of a custodian. Two items: collecting, making sure you put in the car, and you drive home after, paying. So they start safekeeping and paying for it, and settlement. Number 3, when you invest in securities, like government securities, shares, you must be paid something. You don't just invest for nothing, isn't it? So you invest to make money. So dividends, interest, we collect. As a custodian, we make sure that we collect all the investment income that are from an investment. Lastly, number 4, those are just the key items of a custodian. 4, reporting is key. I'm standing here to report to you. So the role of a custodian is also to report, fund manager, trustees, to you members. Even now I'm reporting to you. So those are very important aspects of a custodian, roles of a custodian. Now, lastly, I want to confirm to you what the auditor, Mr. Kimathi, Frederick, they were here. They have read to you the statements you've had. Frederick go through the roles of an auditor, given an opinion, etc. I want to confirm to you that we participated in that report as a custodian, as Stanbic. So report on contributions, withdrawals, expenses, investments, any reports which they required, we participated. They visited us, they came and checked to confirm that what we are claiming is available. Even that segregation, making sure that we protect your money. So members, thank you so much. I will stop there. Your money is there and it is safe. Thank you.
A hand of applause. Our money is safe. Stronger one, please. Thank you very much, my brother, who is our custodian from the Bank of Stanbic. And without wasting my time again, let us welcome our sister. Let's put our hands together for our sister from Samara Actuaries to give us a report. So Sister Beryl, please welcome. So that's report from the actuaries.
Good morning to the Board of Trustees,
Morning.
members of the scheme, and to my fellow service providers, good morning. My name is Beryl Bunyasi. I work for the actuary. I work as the consultant for the pension scheme. So today I believe my fellow service providers have spoken extensively on the financial position for your scheme. So I'll just speak a bit about who is Zamara, what do we do for your scheme, and maybe give a slight update to September just to give you some comfort when it comes to your numbers. So as I've said, I'll speak about who we are as Zamara. We are an actuarial and insurance provider in Kenya and 7 more countries in Africa at the moment. We are hoping to expand to 11 countries. We do service over 700 corporate schemes in Kenya at the moment, and we are very proud that we've been working with the pension scheme for over 2 decades. Going to the next slide. When it comes to our values, we believe that simplicity, empathy to our members, and creating an area and comfort of trust for our trustees is very important. So we ensure in all our dealings, in the reports that we make, and even interaction with our members, that we are very truthful, and we also give you the comfort that you need. So if there is any point that you do need to contact us directly, we are always happy to assist. When it comes to the services that we do provide, we are an actuarial provider. We have administration services in-house, and we also provide consultancy services. This is one of the services that we provide to the pension scheme. So going into detail for what we exactly do for this scheme, we help in calculation of your benefits. So when you do want to retire or leave the scheme would approach us and we would calculate your benefits, verify the details that you have provided, and just ensure that you're getting what you deserve from the scheme. We also provide consultancy when it comes to the investments. We'd look at both fund managers every single month just to ensure that there's comfort in the numbers that they are reporting, provide a consolidated position for your scheme, and also help the scheme in terms of learning about what's happened in the markets, and also advise where we see fit. We'd also look at other investment fields and see where we can educate the trustees, but we also provide member education when needed and trainings as seen fit by the board. Looking at the numbers to this quarter, because I believe from the reporting that you've gotten and maybe things that you've seen in the news, there are some points that can be of concern to us as members. I'm also a member of a pension scheme, so I know the numbers we are seeing even in the news can be a bit challenging to us. So I'll ask to go to the next slide, please. So I'll just report some numbers to the September end. As I said, we consolidate the performance of both managers and report this to the trustees. Yes, times have been difficult. We have been seeing some losses in some asset classes, but to give you comfort, to September, you have done well. You had a performance of 3.2%, which is above the industry numbers that we have seen, meaning that your fund managers are doing quite well. They're trying to get you the return that you deserve and constant income to the scheme. We also look at the type of growth that you've had. You have high withdrawals, that's why the fund value can go down sometimes, but constantly we do see income from your investments, and we also check compliance with the regulator and with other documents that you have in the scheme. Thank you very much, and we're happy to take any questions today.
They have given us exactly what they do, and we appreciate. Let's put our hands now together, please. Wacha kila kitu chini sasa. Mikono yako tayarisha kabisa kwa sababu ya kazi mzuri ya wale wote ambao wametunenea. Our fund managers, our custodians, now our actuaries, they have all given us a report, and we know that our money is safe and they are doing a good job. Our trustees are doing a good job. Please, let's put our hands together, please, again. We shall now go to 5 actuarials. Please, I want you to turn to your neighbor, please. Turn to your neighbor and shake your neighbor. Please. You're my neighbor. Thank you. Good, good. This is great. Remember, my pension, my comfort. Tell your neighbor, my pension, my comfort. My pension, my comfort. Also, if you are comfortable, put your hands together. We shall start 5 factorials. We shall start 5 clubs, then come to 4, then come to 3, then come for all of those who have done a good job to all of us. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we shall come to 4, 3, 2, and 1. Joyfully. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. Great. We are very, very grateful. We are still on time. We are very grateful. So we shall call upon our brother. If you have anything to say on our interlude, we do it so that we call upon the remarks from the sponsor.
Thank you, Mr. Sawe. What is pension? What is pension? Pension ni pension. Sijui kama mnakumbuka huyo mzee. Kuna mzee fulani alikuwa nakuja Anauliza swali, what is pension? Pension ni pension. A pension is a retirement agreement. Mark the word agreement, in which employees receive a regular payment from their employer after retirement, say regular payment. Keywords, from their employer, say employer. After retirement in exchange for their years of work. A pension is a retirement agreement, say agreement, in which employees receive regular payment from their employer after retirement in exchange for their years of work. Employers usually make most of all of the contribution to a pension. That's why nimesema pension ni pension ni pension. Pension ni pension. And I told you here we are here for money matters. Hata ukivaa unavaa kama money mattered. Those wale ambao walikuwa na support Argentina jana, usione nimevaa blue ukafikiri nilikuwa na support Argentina. Mimi siko na support Argentina. Timu yangu ilitoka jana na World Cup yangu imeisha. Hata France ikicheza leo mimi sitaona. Mimi najua timu yangu itakuwa either number 3 ama number 4. But at the end of it all, what I've recognized, bado atapewa pesa. Because here we are talking about money matters. Our safeguarded money. I want to thank all who have come. We are keeping time. I've seen some of my 2 bosses. 3. I've seen some of my 3 bosses, and some of them I know them very much. I thank you for Mr. Mukhtar. Thank you. Welcome. That is Mr. Mukhtar. He's also a trustee. I also thank you for my brother. Hii jina ndio huwa inanipotea. Mr. Opini. You are supposed to opening prayer. Oh. That opening prayer, I hope you prayed when you were there. But your position was taken. It was amicably taken care of. I also want to thank somebody here. Mutaniruhusu niseme kwa uoga. I want to thank Mr. Tonui. Let us give Mr. Tonui a clap. I will not tell you why, but he has been a very good human resource manager. And I can remember there's a time when I was out, he was talking to me, giving me words of encouragement, and I'm here. I'm here, and I'm bright. Today I'm not coming as a worker of PCK. Today I'm MC, Master of Ceremony. Maneno ya kazi tutaongelea baadaye. Sasa nikifanya makosa, hata ukiongea saa hii na upitishe muda nitakusimamisha kwa sababu mimi ndo nachunga muda hapa na you have to go according to me because I'm the timekeeper. But after this I will come and see you and say sorry, hiyo ilikuwa masaa ya kazi. Hata wewe unajua masaa ya kazi ni tofauti. Thank you. I want us to do something else. And this is what I've been doing most of the time. I want also to remember one person here. Namekaa kando sana. Na ni kama baba ya wafanyikazi wengi sana. Mr. Okwaro, can you please stand? You know, now here, you have to go according to my will. Here, you have to go according to my will. When I tell you to stand, and I tell you to say yes, sir, you will have to say. This is Mr. Okwaro. Just wave to your workers. This is Mr. Okwaro. And I can confess that he has been very good to us and making sure that our money are taken there, are taken to the pension scheme. And next, I will ask you one question, but not today. when you come in another forum. Thank you very much, Mr. Okwaro. You can sit now. You see, I'm Anna T. So I want to welcome each and every one of us. Wale wenye walikuja wamechelewa. I'm just trying to get time so that Mr. Sawi will take the next session. Thank you for coming. We welcome you. This flight is now at a very high altitude, and we are going far. We are going far. I told you that you are spending your money. Oh, I've seen somebody else, but I'll give you some time later. People who worked here, and I believe they are getting their money on time. Because you said here, ensuring timely availability of retirement benefits. I want to thank each and every one of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Everyone who is watching us, this is NTV. If you never knew, this is City Square Post Office. We are just starting and going on. Tuko karibu na Central Bank. Tuko karibu na Times Tower. Tuko karibu na Jogo House. Tuko karibu na Office of the President. Tuko karibu na Office of the Deputy President. That is where we are located. Mr. Sawi.
Asante sana ndugu Nyaseme for the insights and the encouragements that he has made. Now, according to our program, we are supposed to invite our brother John Kea from, lakini tumeweka yeye kwa ile program sehemu ya pili, session 2. So we shall go to questions and answer session. Na kama kuna anything burning, we'll be able to get it from the audience. Wala wako na maswali kwa sababu kuna sehemu hiyo ambayo imewekwa question session. Na mwenye atasimamia hiyo ni Elijah. Uliza tu swali yako lakini is taking note. So do we have anyone before we go to the next session, because we are just about to go to the next session immediately after this. So if there is any question, please let us get people putting up their hands so that we give you a microphone. You can be able to ask. Asante sana. Karibu Mr. Koskei kwa ajili.
Thank you, Bwana MC. I want to do a very brief one. This would be questions that are related to the old scheme. I believe we all know, and I'm happy to see most of my pensioners here, and I know they are members of the old scheme. So if you have a question, a burning question regarding the old scheme, we want to invite you to ask your question, then we can be able to respond very briefly, and then we will move quickly to the next scheme where we will present. And lastly, we will be able to give you a lot of time to be able to ask questions after the presentation of the new scheme. So if you have a burning question regarding the old scheme, kindly you can ask, and then we can be able to respond. Thank you.
Raise up your hand, we can give you the mic.
Banasawa, I think it appears we have done a very good job. Probably through the presentations we have answered all the questions even before they ask. Yeah, I can see one hand there.
I'm coming, I'm flexible.
Yeah, kindly stand. If you have a question, you can stand so that you can be seen.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Matthew Mbani. I've risen up to ask a question regarding to governance, corporate governance. And in regard to page number 4 and page number 5, basically I want to ask about corporate governance. And if you see or not number 4 on page 4 about composition of the board of trustees. And we're seeing the composition about gender mix we can see the female is 17% and the male is 83%. Now, is that in compliance with even the Constitution? I think we all know that a third should be of either gender. So probably, I don't know what the advice that the auditor gave, or I don't know, the recommendations regarding that. And still on that, about the skill mix. We're seeing financial skills are nil, in that scheme. And I don't know, when you look at responsibilities of the management regarding preparation of financial statements, it is the responsibility of the management in regard to that. And in accordance to International Auditing Standard number 315, can we be able to see some risks in that, be it compliance risk or another kind of risk? And that is one question. The other one is on the auditor's report. Auditor's report, that is on page 11. Probably I would, just the normal layman, if we could get a brief of emphasis of matter, and that is in regard to, if you check note number 13 and 14, probably can be advised further on the implication of that and in terms of the going concern. Then when we are still on that one, when we go to the notes, page number 31, on the notes to the accounts, page number 31, note number 14, probably on the provision for impairment, we have provision for impairment. Probably you can get us some highlights on that. What was that impairment? Probably you can be able to understand further. Thank you. Asante sana.
Thank you, Mbani. Do we have another question so that we can take all of them at once? Or do we respond to this? I suggest we respond so that we move to the next program. Now, one of the questions asked by Mbani is regarding governance. Are we compliant? I would say we are not compliant. In regards to the issue of gender mix, we have had, before, we had trustees who are female, but majority, as you can see now, we only have one lady who is subdued by, is it, how many gentlemen? 10 or something. Yeah, so that has been a challenge. And most of the issue regarding this relates to, one, members turning up to contest for trustee elections. We realize that, I don't know whether it is a design, but majority of the ladies do not turn up to contest or to offer themselves for trusteeship positions. Then number two, we also have a challenge from the sponsor side. When the sponsor nominates, they had nominated ladies, but when they retired, they replaced with gentlemen. So we are really trying to talk with the sponsor to see a possibility of ensuring that that is complied with, because the biggest challenge that sometimes we have is when we go for elections, we do not dictate that you should choose a lady, unless now we follow the constitution and now reserve seats for women. That has been really a challenge. And that's why we keep reporting, so that we try as much as possible to be compliant with that. Now, regarding the issue of financial skills, yes, the Retirement Benefits Authority requires that in a board of trustees, at least one member must have financial qualifications, not just financial skills, financial qualifications recognized by a professional body. So that is also an issue. And I think as we come back to you for elections, when the terms of other trustees end, you will be seeing that we may be requiring you to nominate people with those kind of skills. It is important because, as Mbani said, this is a financial sector, and we require people who understand finances, what finances are. We want somebody who understands what liquidity is. You know, when the fund manager comes and says, we need liquidity, they don't bring water. They understand what it means to be liquid in the financial sector. I'll go to the other question, which probably I will also need the help of the auditor regarding the emphasis of matter. Now, the auditor examined the accounts, and because the accounts are not qualified, there was an issue, especially on the issue of compliance with regulations. Property exposure, we are at 59.91% instead of 30%. So the liquidity is a challenge, because for you to convert a property into cash that you need when you retire, it takes time. I think trustees or the chair has mentioned here the process that we have gone through in trying to dispose of some of the properties. The market is not even friendly in the first place. And number two, for you to be able to dispose a property to pay a retirement benefit, it is not prudent at all. The Retirement Benefits Authority, that's why they indicated that we must ensure that we are not over 30% in property. So that's the emphasis that the auditor is raising, without having to qualify the accounts, because it's a big liquidity risk that we need to manage as a scheme. On the issue of provision for impairment, we have, I think the last 2 financial years, we have implemented IFRS 9 as a scheme. This is to measure the risk we are exposed to in terms of financial assets or declared assets, as well as instruments that may give a risk to the scheme. For example, one of them, the biggest one, is the issue of rent collection. We have a big problem, especially on rent being paid by the sponsor. And I think the chair mentioned that we are in discussions with the sponsor, and they have started paying rent, which is outstanding. But IFRS 9 requires that you must be able to manage that risk by impairing that. That is why you can see a provision for impairment, which is very huge, because of rent that appears to be doubtful. We have talked for the last, I think, since 2010. The rent continues to accumulate, and the rent relates to the space occupied by the sponsor of this scheme. At some point, we wanted to auction the sponsor. So, you know, if you auction the sponsor, who is sponsoring you? What is the implication? It means you have auctioned yourself, isn't it? So the best would be to discuss and to be able to provide for that in the accounts in accordance with the law. So thank you. I think those are the questions. I would want to defer most of the other questions to the last stage, then unless there's one very burning one. Yes, we have one from one of our, should be our pensioner, yeah?
Thank you. I'm Kenneth Otieno Mudani from Ugunja, Sierra County. I retired in the year 2008. Mine is just to thank our trustees and service providers for managing the scheme well. We normally get our pension payment on time, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Bwana Mudanyi, for those kind words.
Makofi haitoshi tafadhali. Kama inapatikana on time. Makofi vizuri tafadhali. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. That's a good job.
Sometimes those kind words keep us going. Keep them coming. Thank you.
Can I use the microphone?
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Bwana Kosgei. Thank you, the trustees. Page number 13. My name is Charles Njagi. I'm a member of the old and the new scheme. Page number 13, allow me first of all to put some accolades on areas like administrative expenses. Note number 9, we see some good changes in comparative of the years. We do also see some good changes in investment management expenses. But my query is on note number 7, on change in fair value of financial assets from where we were to where we are, a whole big portion of 186 million shillings. Thank you.
Yes, I think I want to invite the auditor to clarify that. But usually when we talk about fair value, you know, like for example, if you bought a Safaricom share when it was 26 shillings and now it is say 15. No, it's not 15, but I'm just giving an example. There is a potential loss if I value my assets at that point. It appears that I have lost, but really it has not crystallized. But I want the expert to talk about that. I'm talking as a layman. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Koske. The explanation is mainly that. You see, we compare the prices of especially the financial assets which are at market value, majorly the quoted equities and the bonds, the government bonds. So when you compare the prices which were there at the beginning of the period and the prices which are there at the end of the period, or the prices for those which were bought during the period, the price at the point of purchase and the price at the end, there's usually the movement. And we can say during this year, ended 30th June 2022, the prices, most of them came down. So this is a revaluation loss which has not materialized. So it is unrealized. And for purposes of the financial statements, we have to value those financial statements as at that date of valuation. So that is the movement. And basically the movement of most of these went down. Thank you.
Thank you, Auditor, for that. I think we will move to the next scheme immediately. Thank you.
Now we shall get a small break where we shall change the judge of guard. Tutatoa hii sasa kutoka kwa staff pension scheme to staff retirement benefits scheme. So we'll get some music from the background. DJ, tupatie wimbo, tusimame, tucheze kidogo, kisha to change guard. Yes, then we shall be able to change that. Then we shall move straight away to the scheme, so that we go to the new scheme. Now we shall go from 20th and AGM to 13th. Tuna switch kutoka 20th tunaenda 13th AGM ya retirement benefit scheme. Thank you MC, thank you MC. Tunakungojea background. Taunet nelel. We are now to the new year, new beginning, and This podcast is live. It is being seen in Eldoret, seen in Mombasa, seen in Kitale, Bungoma, Kisumu. It's live. Yeah, even wale wanatuona kutoka kule Mombasani ni AGM ya the year 2022 ya pension scheme yetu, staff pension scheme. Haya, tuende pamoja sasa. Makofi pamoja. Taunele. Makofi pamoja. Ogero. Haya, chelela.
Just 17 months ago, Spain made a run to the semi-finals at Euro 2020, heightening expectations ahead of the 2022 World Cup. That Spain failed to meet those expectations has brought disappointment and the exit of manager Luis Enrique. Just 17 months ago, that seemed so unlikely, but alas, is now the reality.
Crystal Rivers Residences, the future of fine living.
Maseno University is committed to quality through teaching, research and development, providing timely services to foster and develop academic excellence. The university will hold its 22nd graduation congregation for the conferment of degrees and award of diplomas and certificates to be held virtually on Friday 16th December 2022 at the Graduation Square Siriba campus from 9 a.m. Join us for this live on NTV and on all the university's social media platforms. Maseno University, a fountain of excellence.
Happy holidays! Have you spotted the Dancing Santa on NTV? SMS the name of the show to 20686. Become the 10th person to do so and win amazing prizes. NTV, turning on your world. This is NTV.
Corporation of Kenya Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme. As I mentioned earlier in my introduction, that we have two schemes. We have the old scheme, which is called the Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Pension Scheme, which is the DB scheme, which we have been taken through the financial statements and the status of that scheme. So now we are calling upon you to listen keenly as we present the status of the Postal Corporation of Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme. And I think I want to again introduce the trustees of that scheme. We have the chairman, Mr. Simon Gashara. Is the chairman of Postal Corporation of Kenya Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme. We have Mr. John Tonui. I am told he has a new title now. The sponsor, the Postmaster General, is also a trustee. He's also yes, in that scheme. We have Trustee Mukhtar Abdullahi, should be the longest serving trustee. He has like 50 years of experience as a trustee. Then we have Philemon Munai, he's also a trustee. We have also Alista, he just walked out, but he's present. So we will invite you to look at the agenda for this particular meeting. We also have an agenda which has been presented to us, where we shall take you through the affairs of this scheme. Thank you.
Asante sana. Thank you very much, our member who has given us a word of welcome, and secondly, introduced the chair. Now, without wasting time, let us invite our brother Simeon Gashara, who is the chair of the scheme, to take us through his remarks. So welcome. Our hands together, please, for karibu sana. Karibu, 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 karibu.
Thank you, Bwana MC. Good morning, neighbors. Good morning. Okay, let me read my chairman's vote. I'm advised that there's something which the trust secretary should do before I read my remarks.
Sorry, members. There was, I think we invited the chairman too soon. I think you can still sit. I have a small agenda to take you through. One is the adoption of the agenda for this particular meeting. I believe we all have the agenda. It's been circulated to us. The agenda comprises opening remarks, chairman's report, presentation of the audited financial statements for the financial year that ended. We will also have the fund managers presenting their reports. We have the custodian. We also have the reports of changes in retirement benefits industry presented by the Retirement Benefits Authority. We will also have an opportunity to have the sponsor talk to us, the sponsor of the scheme, through the Postmaster General. Then lastly, we will go through a Q&A session. So I want us to adopt the agenda, and then I will go straight into the minutes. We'll confirm the minutes of the last meeting. Then the chairman will read his report. Can we propose adoption of the agenda? Proposer. Proposer. Can we have a proposer? Yes. Give him the mic. Proposer is who?